Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome once again to Narruption. Today we're here with Oluwafemi, and Oluwafemi is, the founder of Twinku. I'll let Oluwafemi talk about Twinku, but before that, we would like to know like who you are, Oluwafemi, and where are you from, and which schools did you attend?
All right. Thank you very much, Musa. So, my name is Oluwafemi Oluwabumi Ademilua, and I'm from Ekiti State. I currently reside in Lagos, and I attended University of Ilorin. I studied economics. So, yeah. So, I studied economics.
Laughing. What did you need Laurie do to you?
Nothing. It's a great school. Yeah.
Yes. All right.
So I studied economics at the University of Ilorin, and I graduated some years back, proceeded to serve, and came to Lagos, moved to Lagos full time 2018, and I've been in Lagos ever since. And prior to founding Twinku, I've worked in the banking industry and as well as real estate.
All right, interesting. I wanted to ask, so for your secondary school, was it also in Ekiti? Like, have you always been in Ekiti? And like, did you attend the day or boarding school for secondary school?
All right. My junior secondary school was, and my senior secondary school um, days were in Ekiti, actually. Yeah, I grew up in Ekiti, Ado Ekiti. So I attended a day junior secondary school, and I moved to a boarding house I moved to boarding school for my senior secondary school, Government Science College. Um, for my senior secondary school, and it was a boarding school.
All right, nice, excellent. And you said you serve in Lagos? This one that you just moved from Lagos and decided to stay there.
No, 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 no. During my university days, I even for my secondary school days, I come to Lagos sometimes, for holidays and so on. But I always, go back home. And I served in Nasarawa, actually, Lafia.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I served in Lafia, Nasarawa State. It was after my service I now came back and we just moved to Lagos like permanently, at least for now.
Oh nice. You are the proper entrepreneur, like in Lagos, moving to Lagos, working in Lagos or starting a business in Lagos. Um, nice, interesting. And before we start talking about Twinkle, I just want to ask you, like, what do you think and feel about being a Nigerian, like in this decade and in this century, right? And maybe like your transition, from childhood, what was the experience like, and then up to today, right? What's your experiences like?
Um, that question is
Oh, this
dicey.
guy.
It's very dicey, Being a Nigerian has its pros and cons, right? But honestly, things as always, you know, things not always been like this. It seems like things has gotten worse as years pass. Childhood was a lot better, or maybe we were not just informed about things, but then I could recall childhood was a lot better than what we have right now, right? Even if you look back and check the data, that Nigeria has only gotten worse. So growing up was much. We grew up. I grew up in a saner environment, in a secure Nigeria, right? In a safe Nigeria, right? And where you don't have to listen to bad news every night. And then there was no Boko Haram when I was still in charge, right? There was no bandit, there was no unknown gunmen.
Mm-hmm.
So the news you just hear is about maybe politics, about your state governor, about the civil servants, about the president traveling and all that. And growing up, university, things were still normal. Dollar to naira has not really exploded in the way it has in the past years. Inflation has not really, gotten a hold of the economy. But right now, right, it's been it's actually it takes being in Nigeria right now is I know it's worldwide. The inflation is everywhere, but then there's this extra layer of psychological burden of hearing bad news about the country almost every day, right? And seeing your childhood friends, people that you grew up with, and people that you've made friends with over the time, just leaving the country in dove. Your colleagues are leaving as well, and you are remaining in Nigeria, you are asking yourself that, are you sure you are making the right choice
Yeah.
of staying in the country, or being a Nigerian is, like I said, it comes with its pros and cons.
Mm.
You could it depends on your perspective, but then you can't ignore some certain things, and like the cons mostly has been the security lately. The economic challenges can be, you can overcome economic challenges if you have better managers at the end of things. But hopefully it gets better again, so that the next generation could have something better to say about being a Nigerian.
Excellent. Nice. I mean, not nice, but like, nice to hear your thoughts on it. I think it's important, right? That sometimes business owners are just put in the bubble of business, or founders, right? Are put in the bubble of founders, and they're excluded from the reality of things. When in fact, the whole business in itself, right, depends on the other things that is not business. So it's like nice to hear like how you see things in this sense, and like what you think are the basic problems, right? At the end of the day. So Twinku, um, like okay, now I'll just ask like what it is. First of all, I'll ask like what you guys do at Twinku, and then I want to ask like how did the name come about?
All right. So what we are building is essentially is you can't separate what we are building from why we are building it, right? From the reason why we've started this journey in the first place, right? So what we are building essentially is an asset database, where users can connect and track financial assets, and also plan confidential succession for the connected assets. So in simple terms, we just allow you to connect your bank accounts, your account for the banks and fintechs, and attach beneficiaries that you want those assets to go to, or you want to share information about those assets with, if anything happens to you, right? And why have we set on a mission to build something like this? Um, the reason was supported with some data that came out in 2020 that says that the federal government wanted to borrow money in dormant accounts, in Nigerian banking dormant accounts, Nigerian bank on dormant accounts, right?
Mhm.
And the figure was in excess of 800 billion naira,
Yeah.
right? So something popped up and say we've had the idea before then anyway. It's just a validation that came as well. So a lot of these accounts actually belong to dead people that their family that whose family members are not aware of those accounts in the first place.
Oh, wow.
Talk more of getting administration to those accounts. And recently there's a revision to that data. There's a special House committee, Federal House of Representative Committee on this. On I don't know, I've forgotten what the name of that committee is, but their work is to investigate uh, these type of accounts, the monies inside this type of accounts, and they see the potential amount now has risen to 1.3 trillion.
So the accounts
Uh,
like dead people. Or like
And
what?
not necessarily dead people. They are just dormant bank accounts. So accounts that people have not used for 6 months and above. So when your account is not active for 6 months and above in the bank, it goes dormant. Like you've not made any transaction, did that deposit or withdraw from the account or transfer
They'll still
six
be
months and
charging
above.
for SMS.
Yeah, yes. So it goes dormant. So there could be a reason why somebody has not used. There are several reasons why people, you might abandon your account for that long. People might abandon their account that long for a period of time if there's no money inside it, right? But then um, for accounts that have balances, there are a few reasons why somebody will abandon such accounts for that long. And one of those reasons is that the person is dead and nobody knows about those accounts. Some other reasons might be that, well, you just want to leave that money. Not a lot of people just want to leave 1 million inside an account for more than 6 months. Rather, they would rather fix that amount or put it somewhere where it will earn interest or where it's a fixed income account or something. But leaving money inside a current account or a savings account for more than 6 months without,
Dormant.
for it to go dormant and then there's 10 million inside it or 5 million or 500,000 or even 100,000. If properly investigated, you find out that a larger chunk of these accounts owners are people that are dead and their family members don't know about those accounts in the first place.
Oh.
So that also gave us some personal reflection that as a young person, right now in this digital age, this is the age where a lot of fintechs are popping up. A lot of fintechs that allow us to invest, that allow us to save, and that allow us to do several transactions online. Allow us to do right. So an average for myself, I have almost up to 10 of these fintech accounts where I just regularly move money across to
Yeah.
either save, invest, or do something right.
Mm-hmm.
So I've asked myself this question that out of most of this, like these 10 apart from my banking apps, just most of these accounts are only to my knowledge. Nobody else knows about them. So God forbid anything happens to me today, most of them will just disappear into thin air. Nobody would go after it or try to get anything from it, right? So that's the idea behind it. So we came up with Twinku to, kind of help you to, while you are opening these accounts, while you are building your assets, while you are investing, while you are saving, we want to give you the access to be able to tie a beneficiary to all of those accounts confidentially in such a way that they are not aware right now. And they only get the information about these accounts when it is confirmed that, the person is no more.
So how do you know that, like, is it based on dormancy of accounts that now tells you, okay, something's wrong with this person? Or but how will you know if somebody is dead?
All right, so it's not the massive account alone. So we had to build like a trigger, an alarm system in the app as a Twinku user that allows you to set some levels of like 2 levels of alarms to say, so if my account has been inactive for a period of time, which should be done by the user, then we should try and reach out to you, right? So we try and reach you. So the second level of alarm is that if you try to reach me for another period of time, which is also set by the user, and you don't get a feedback from me or I don't make this account active, then you should reach out to my emergency contacts or trigger contacts, so we call them on the app. So you set the user says you will reach out to your emergency contact in this case to verify the life status of the user, and if they verbally confirm that the person is has passed on, there's another level of verification that we take before we now share information with beneficiaries that you attach to your individual accounts or assets.
Okay, so so that spots in maybe registration in Nigeria where they put next of kin, right? You guys have next of kin, but you go a step further and say, okay, based on these two systems, right? If you contact your next of kin and your next of kin confirm, then we disclose that this guy has an account, right? And you are the person's name that was there. So what the bank does not do in the sense of contacting the next of kin, you guys do, right?
Yeah, so it's not even next of kin. It's
Okay.
we call them beneficiaries in this case,
Oh,
because most likely next of kins are not like always the same
yeah.
as beneficiaries, right? Especially in legal terms, or if you are writing a will or writing. So most of these financial institutions have next of kin for situations where they have to probably maybe where it is absolutely necessary to reach out to you and then they can get in touch. For example, maybe you hold the institution or something,
Yeah.
right? But for dormancy, right, they might not necessarily reach out to your next of kin, right? That's if you are even interested in reaching out to anyone. So
Mm.
it's not next of kin. We call them beneficiaries, and
Is there a limit to how many beneficiaries a person can put?
Yes. There's the problem are in different layers right now.
Mhm.
One of the problem we identified is the information gap that exists in such that I've explained that the families or loved ones are never aware of this account exists in the first place,
Mhm.
and that's the level of problem that we are playing hard as and solving right now. So what we do is just share information about the assets that somebody have with the beneficiary. So we are just sharing
And when you do
information.
that after the person has, for example, died, right? Because some people might want to, some people intentionally create private accounts to not know, let anybody know, like for their own best reasons, right? But when
Yes,
you share the accounts, that's only after death or something.
only after death,
Okay, okay, okay,
only
okay.
after the person has. But that's why we call this confidential
All right.
succession planning. So we only share information after the person has been confirmed dead and after we've done our own verification. And so there's a limit to the beneficiary you can add. So it's one. We cannot share information about the same assets with multiple people. So you that's to be that one person you want to know about this assets, and that's the person that would share information about that account with, and then the necessary guideline how to get administration to that account. Yeah.
Okay, so
So there
there's
will be.
okay. So there's like one person. I was thinking, I don't know if you watched The Godfather, right? The lawyer in the family. So there's that lawyer that if the Godfather dies, you give that lawyer, and then the lawyer discloses to every other person that this is it, right? But in that case, when this one beneficiary knows about it, is there like a clause whereby the person is mandated to disclose maybe to the other beneficiaries or other people that you have put in that you have written down, right, but are not necessarily direct beneficiaries or are not the disclosures of the assets? Is there something like that in place?
Not yet. So what we have is that this person is is the beneficiary, like that gets information, right? Yeah, like is an information beneficiary of that account.
Right.
But then there's no clause that now further says that that person has to on or that there's no clause that further dictates on what that person does with that information. So ours is just to get information out there. At least we've bridged that information gap, and then we provide necessary guidelines on how the person can, go about it, getting administration. So if it's a family thing, it's left to the person's discretion to carry other people along within that, if it's a family within the family, and do what is right. Although this is just this we are still early in the product, in the product, so we are building to be able to reach a higher level of products, of value proposition to both the users and the beneficiaries, of their assets, like in the succession plan, right? So you get to that point where you'll be able to build an end-to-end value proposition for everybody, every player, yeah. So, but currently it's just the information.
All right. I want to ask, have you guys tested like, I mean, this is bad news, but like, has anybody died? And then you guys have been able to test this from your users? Like, it's bad, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
20%.
No, not yet,
Oh,
fortunately. Fortunately. And that's not the only thing we exist for.
okay.
Like I said, we allow the user, we allow users build like an assets database that comprises of their individual, their separate accounts with different institutions, right? So when you create this database, you are connecting your account from different banks and fintechs. So we kind of serve as an asset aggregator as well. So you can view balances from all these your accounts in a single dashboard, on a single dashboard. So you've connected A bank, bank B, bank C, bank D, fintech A, fintech B, fintech C. You can see the balances of all these accounts in your Twinku app, right? You can view them as individual accounts, and you can also view them as like an asset category. You can see all what you have in your bank, how much all your bank accounts are worth. You can
Mhm.
see how much all your fintech accounts are worth. Then on the net side, you can see how much all your accounts, both with banks and fintechs, are worth, right? So we are kind of giving like financial intelligence as well. So so it's not only that you get value when you die and your beneficiaries get information. Right now, you can use we offer financial intelligence for you as well. So while you create your asset database, you are getting data that is very useful for you in making financial decisions. So you don't have to open multiple apps to know if you should make a purchase, or if you should engage a service. So you can just open your Twinku app and see how liquid you are across all your bank accounts or your fintech accounts, and where you think you can move money from to to achieve something. And apart from that, you also be able to see how your net worth or all these balances as an asset has changed over time, right? With our trend data. So
Mm.
it's not just we are not just giving value to you when you've passed on. So right now you can use it to track your financial assets in one dashboard. And we also have a vault where you can you can keep notes, you can record audio, and you can also keep documents.
Mm.
All this you can attach to beneficiaries so that should get them if anything happens to you. So you can also use our vault for keeping items, right, that you want to keep in a more secured platform, because most of the devices local storage are very accessible to anybody that is with the device, right? So our vault storage offers a more secure way to keep your items, something that you might not want to keep in your local storage, and also something that you want to leave with someone if anything happens to you. So those are the value props that you can start deriving from the products while you are here. Aside the fact that you are leaving all these assets, you have a association plan on the app that allows you to share information of these assets with beneficiaries.
Wow. First of all, like, this is mad. Right. This is innovation, basically. Because I'm just, because first of all, there are so many people, right? Like, I mean, you said you had 10 accounts, right? But there are so many people that, because of the, a lot of financial companies keep getting better with time. So I mean, if you compare like the 2017, for example, right, where Nigeria did not even experience, like, in terms of investors, in terms of FDI, right? It was not as much in the fintech space as it was maybe 2020, 2021. All right. The reason why these companies, get so much traction at the end of the day is because they offer better products, better services, right? And so this is just to say that people tend to follow them, right? So you see one person that has the piggy vest, that has like about five things all at once, right? And they still want more. So you see them like having like following basically fintechs, right? And following these companies because they understand the benefits. And so you guys now trying to track everything for them because some people won't forget and delete the app and they don't even know that that thing exists, or they have like 5K or 10K or I don't know 50 million in that place, right? So this is brilliant. I want to ask you about, just to clarify, you said like there was a committee, right? Like a government committee. What exactly did they want to change, or did they find out, or what was the point of the committee? What was the purpose, and what did they achieve or want to achieve?
All right. So, the first intent that made them do this search, the first data that came out in 2020 came out because federal government wanted, due to the new financial act, they wanted to borrow money from dormant accounts. They wanted to borrow money from these dormant accounts, right? So that was the first time we had information about this type of um, accounts in the banking system. So for this banking committee, for this what's it called, other committee that was set up in the House of Rep. So this I think this committee as well is um, is is set up just to further that cause, as to uncover this type of accounts, and investigate um why these accounts are there, and then in furtherance of the Finance Act, to enable the federal government as well, maybe to have enough data, making decision on maybe to borrow money from those accounts, and so on.
Sure. Well, okay, I don't know, maybe like this is beyond your field, right? But like, what legal rights does the federal government have to go into people's accounts and get money from them? And like, what do you mean? Like, what do they even mean by borrowing? Because it's not like from a legal standpoint, right? These people, if it's dormant, it's most likely these people like have forgotten, or as you said, they're dead, right? So, it's not like somebody will chase them to pay back, because people might not even know the money, about the money in the first place, right? So yeah, two questions. Like, if you can answer, of course, because I think this is more legal than your field. But like, what legal right does the federal government has, and then like, what did they like, how will you how will you pursue the government, federal government, from a dormant accounts perspective for the loans, since by definition they are dormant?
So from what we know, from the 2020, this like I said, this news came out in 2020, that the federal government wants to borrow money from dormant accounts. Like you were asking for the legal rights the government have. The legal right has now been like kind of established by, like, there's a Finance Act that was signed, or the Finance Act of 2020 that was signed,
Yeah.
which gives the government, the federal government, the permission to set up a trust fund. They've set up a trust fund um, that will be funded by unclaimed dividends and monies in dormant bank accounts. So it says that, like, for monies that are in accounts that have been unutilized or unclaimed um, for a period of not less than 6 years. So they'll be able to borrow. So if the account has been dormant for 6 years and above, or there is a dividends that has been unclaimed for of a public listed company that has been unclaimed for more than 6 years, so the government will have the authority or the right to borrow this money and transfer it into the trust fund and utilize it for what's it called? The trust fund will be a sub fund of like a crisis intervention fund. That's what it says. So the act itself has already established the legal foundation for for the government to have access to this funds. So it's not account that just went dormant anyway. So it's not like a 6 months
Yeah.
account that has got always 9 months. So if your account has been dormant for 6 years, where it's most likely that you will not come out of the blue anyway and say you want your money back. So
Okay, I think that's fair then because I thought it was like 6 months. I'm like, I
no,
can't.
your account goes dormant in 6 months, but then the ones that will be cut would be that the government would be actually be borrowing from to fund their budget or to fund the fund they set up who are ones that have been dormant for not less than 6 years.
Okay, so 6 years is like we're taking your money. Like we're not even thinking of paying you back.
No,
So
it's still borrowing.
borrowing the ones they put into the trust fund, they still borrow it.
That's what it says.
Interesting. So the debt. These are government debts. Anyways, that's another conversation. But yeah. So I like. Okay, I want to ask. Going further into Twinkle, right? You spoke about the dashboard. First of all, I want to ask about the integration process. Is it that you guys have partnership with this fintechs, right? To be able to integrate the people's accounts from there? Or like what medium do you, I don't know, maybe this might also be like your business. Right. So I mean if it's okay to share, but how do you integrate, across these different accounts, especially in a poor regulatory system like Nigeria, right? Which sometimes the provisions for this kind of things, right, might be a bit abstract.
All right. Yeah, so I won't say Nigeria is as pro regulatory system. Like, everybody's trying to, I think every country as well are trying to play catch up with innovation, right? So I've not seen anywhere where, I don't know, Sha, like, but it's rare to see that situations where regulation is ahead of innovation, right?
Mm.
Then that if regulation is ahead of innovation, then that's not even innovation because innovation is something new. So regulation should not be ahead of it. Um, but then I think the regulatory framework in Nigeria is also catching up pretty well. And on the question of how we connect right now, we've not started direct partnership. What we
Mm.
have, and since we are not what's it called, we are not doing like a direct um you are not doing like a direct succession where those accounts are directly accessible to the beneficiaries. What we just do is share information, right? So we utilize an API gateway from a third party vendor that allows our users to connect these accounts to Twinkle and then now link it to a beneficiary that should get information about them. So, but of course, we have plans to go directly to the institutions and forge a more, establish a more structured partnership, um, and then what's it called? Uh, a more structured partnership, and then collaborative way to solve the problem.
All right. Okay. So I guess like now if I or somebody listening to this, right, wants to connect their Crowdiverse, the Piggyverse, right, and their probably GT Bank details. So would they do that manually or like that's what I understood because I guess the third party is for the beneficiaries, right, to share that information. Or are they also linked to extraction of information from um the financial financial applications to the Twinkle dashboard?
Yes, it's not manual. It's what's it called? It's not manual. The connection is consumed via an API. So you connect your bank account with the said organizations directly through the API
Okay.
gateway, right? So when your account is linked, your GT account, for example, is linked to the app. It connects in real time in such a way that you can see your GT bank balance from the Twinkle app, right? Um, So although it's not, yeah, that's the way it currently is a digital transmission, not manual entry.
Okay, excellent. Okay, that's interesting. So, in terms of the dashboard in itself, I guess then like it updates. So maybe like it updates automatically, right? I invest, for example, in CrowdInvest, I invest money, I put in the compound interest, and then like 50K has been taken away. It will reflect in my dashboard. But the main question is like, does the thing I used it for also reflect in the dashboard, or just like the sum total, like the balance is what shows in the dashboard?
Yes, yes. Your balance is the only thing we fetch and present to you on your dashboard. And so the integrity of each of the accounts, what you spend, your transaction history of each of the accounts is not displayed on the app. So what we display right now is the balance. So it refreshes automatically, and you can also do a manual refresh yourself.
Mhm.
You can do a manual refresh yourself if you think that the auto refresh, because the auto refresh is at intervals, so you might need it to reflect at a particular point before the auto refresh or after the auto refresh has been done. So you can manually refresh the balance from the app, um, and it automatically refreshes itself as well at some at specific intervals. And also, you don't get your transaction history of each of the accounts in the app. It just reflects in your balance. So if your balance has changed and then the account has been refreshed, it shows in your balance, and then the trend data shows your balance history. So how your balances has changed over time, not your transaction history.
Okay. All right. I think that's and then like then I guess that there's like a specific app balance and then like the cumulative balance. Right? You guys calculate, okay, from these companies, this is all that you have. Like the net, this is all the money you have. So so do you just give like a sum total of like all that's available in the account, or because if it's a sheet, if you are contrasting it right as a balance sheet, what serves as the quote unquote expense in this sense, right? That makes you see if you're in a negative.
All right. So what we do is that we've broken it down into assets categories. So we've broken the type of accounts that our users might have into asset categories. So there's bank category,
Okay.
and there's fintech category, there's crypto categories. So if you connect a bank account, for example, it shows under the bank category. If you connect a fintech account, it shows under the fintech category. So
Okay.
if you connect bank A and you have 1,000 naira inside the account,
Yeah.
and you connect bank B, you have 1,000 naira inside the account.
Mhm.
If you go inside your bank category, you can see bank A 1,000, bank B 1,000,
Mhm.
and you can see the category itself 2,000. Like bank, you have 2,000 in your bank. So if you open the bank, you can now see the accounts that made up that 2,000, right?
Okay.
So if you now go back, like in the portfolio view, you can see if you've not connected any fintech account at all, your fintech category is showing 0. You can now see on the total,
So like a
total bill of things that you have 2,000 totally. But if you have a fintech account, for example, where you have 10,000, right, in fintech A, if you open your fintech category, you see fintech A 10,000. Then you see overview of the fintech as an asset category 10,000. Then if you now go back to your portfolio view that comprises all your assets summation, you can see that overall you have 12,000. But you can now open each of the asset category and see that, okay, this 12,000 is 2,000 from your banks, and then a fintech account that you have that has 10,000 balance. So
okay.
there's from the category, we bring it from the account to asset category, then to portfolio.
All right. And you guys have this, are there more categories than this? So, like you said, bank, fintech, and crypto.
Crypto, yeah.
So, okay. So I'm guessing like things like Bamboo, Piggyvest, right? Financial service, like fintech, financial.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
On
Interesting.
that context.
What of like, what was this bank that's this free commission free bank? It was in the news recently. There's like a bank. So what of like
Digital banks, do you mean?
digital banks? So do you
Yeah,
classify?
digital banks are banks, like the name implies. Bank is just the bank is already at the back of their name, so it's they are banks because most of them have what's it called? At least for you to have bank at the back of your name, you have the license to carry out what's it called? To carry out banking services, even if it's microfinance bank, you have the license to conduct banking services, right? So that means you are a bank.
All right, okay,
Yeah.
perfect. All right. Then I want to ask, in terms of like data for users, right? Like, how do you guys protect data? How do you guys manage data, right? Do you guys have access to the information on the dashboard, or what can you guys see about the customer on the back end, or from a management perspective?
All right, so we have a lot of security in place on our own hand, and we are also working to get few certification in in this space, right? That in terms of data privacy and protection as well. But then these are some things that take time before they manifest outside, right? Um, so in terms of data privacy, via connection, when you are connecting your banks or your fintechs, so the data you are required to you are required to put to get access to connect these accounts um uh, are not stored on our own servers. We don't store or have access to those data. So because vendor we have currently um the vendor we have currently what's it called? The vendor we currently have, we use for this to connect these accounts. We use a third party vendor, so we don't have access to those details that you use to connect your accounts and so on, and we don't store them. Yeah, so for the other kind of data that we store, they are what's it called? They are securely stored in such a way that everybody anybody have access not anybody has access to it or could easily access it from our own head even within the team, right? Also we have a delete account feature. It is now required from on major platform where you can even want to list your app uh, to comply with that. So a user can completely delete all his or her data on our server. So if you are a Twinku user for a period of time and you want to delete your account, it clears all your data completely, all the data that we have of you. So you can it erase all your data with us as well.
Okay.
And of course, is a continuous process that will keep improving and to make sure that we comply with the best practices in this space. Cybersecurity as well itself keeps evolving, and
Yeah.
there are new standards and certifications that are coming up, and we just try our best to keep up with these standards.
Okay. Excellent. Nice. So, I wanted to, so like this, the third party that you guys use, do you know, like, if it's encrypted, like the data, they have no access to it, or, they have access to that data? Do you have any information about that?
Yes, yes. So our third party actually encrypt all this data, and they encrypt account information using a standard AESS 256-bit encryption, and they also generate multiple part encryption key, right? So the what's it called? They follow the best practices as well to make sure that customers data are encrypted, and they as well do not have access. So it's encrypted both in transit and at rest. So they themselves do not have access. So neither us or our partners have access to your connection details or information. Those are the details you use to connect your account to Twinku. So neither of us have access to those to that data.
Okay, excellent. Nice. I was just talking to, I don't know if you know Environ Company, if you've heard of them, but I was talking to the founder, Emmanuel Oluwafemi, right? And we had a conversation on basically documentation. Um, and obviously his company is more on business, analytics, business models and processes, and they just help people to, business owners, entrepreneurs, SMEs to be able to have, workable models and tested models and templates, right, that can help in their businesses. And we had a conversation on documentation, all right. So when we say documentation, basically in tracking all expenditures, tracking, any expense basically that's transacted, and just the moving of as from a business perspective, right, and a founder or CEO or sole proprietor perspective, right, moving personal funds to business accounts or business funds to personal accounts, right. And I just want to ask you on basically what you think, right, has been, especially like from starting Twinku all the way to now with with your customers, like what do you think is the fundamental problem of asset management from a Nigerian perspective, and also maybe from a demographic perspective, right? Maybe like young people, youths, versus old people, and all of that.
Um, from my own perspective, the asset management or managing businesses is is actually not is entrepreneurship in itself is just it's not an easy endeavor, right? So you have to wear a lot of hats. Even though you are an engineer, you are a doctor, as long as you become an entrepreneur, you embark on this journey, you have to wear multiple hats. A lot of people are like come from different backgrounds to start businesses, pursue their passion. And because of lack of resources, they have to enter this like wear this multiple half or art of doing their accounting themselves, doing business development and all that. So and something that could actually that could actually easily um you could actually mix up as well is especially for small businesses, is your personal funds and your business funds, especially for sole proprietorship, where most often than not the capital you use in starting this business is your personal funds. So you are using your personal funds as you use your personal funds as the capital and in running the business in the first place. So you are almost not likely to be able to distinguish between your personal funds and your what's it called, and then the business funds, especially for people that don't have accounting background or don't know money management as well. So that's the challenge, especially that I think I've recognized for myself. I studied economics, so I have this knowledge of accounting, and as well as startups are startup as well, like especially if you have good partners or advisors are quick to point you to these pitfalls to escape and how to go about it. So one thing that is very important is to have people that you could seek advice from, like in terms of some like money management. If you are not clear, you should seek advice from people that know how to, right? Even if they are friends that you think have the knowledge, or colleagues that you think have not, because most people cannot afford to hire an accountant from the get-go. All right. So you just have to do it yourself. And if you are doing it yourself and you know, things are getting blurry or getting confusing, you just have to ask people. And now, thankfully, there are a lot of accounting softwares that are specifically made for SMEs and small businesses, especially, that you could actually use. QuickBooks, there are tons of them out there, and you can use Excel. If you know how to handle it yourself, you can use Excel. And one thing that is always good as well to keep yourself accountable is to always have like maybe a weekend report, a month end report that you generate to see how your money has, where how the business has fared financially. So you hold yourself accountable to see how that money has been moving in and out.
Excellent. Do in Twinkle, is it only for personal finances? What of like businesses that have, multiple businesses that also have, these different accounts, different fintech accounts as well? Like, do you guys also work with businesses, or is it just for personal finance?
Right now it's just for personal finance. And the reason why we set out for this is mostly because we want people to be able to leave information about those accounts to their loved ones. Like succession is a big part of what we are trying to solve, to crack at Twinku, right? So the other type business is being included in what we are doing now at Twinku is that we are also empowering entrepreneurs to be able to connect their like private equity, to list that private equity on Twinku. So it's not just your bank account and fintech account anymore. So if you are a founder or you are a business owner and you have registered business or you have registered partnership with someone, you can list it as an asset
Okay.
on Twinku, and then also pre-inform somebody about it, add the beneficiary to that information as to this is my stake in this business, right? And this is the name of the business. These are the other details that the business, right? So, but for business accounts or corporate accounts, we've not got into that space yet to even decide as if it's something we want to pursue or not. But it's not actually the direction we are going right now.
All right. Yeah, I think especially in line with like your vision and why you guys were set out, right? It makes perfect sense. Okay. So I just want to ask now for what your dream is like for the company, and what you guys plan to achieve maybe in the next 5 or 10 years.
All right. Thank you very much. So, actually, the dream is very, very big. The dream is very, very big. And where we see ourselves in the next 10 years is we see ourselves as, 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 um, as a company that is powering, trust, in on the continent, even in the world. Um, we see ourselves to have built like a trust OS, like trust operating system, that allows people to do, yes, all form of trust, end-to-end trust, right? That powers succession, right? Complete end-to-end succession, from users having that account on Twinkle to beneficiaries getting what they've been allocated, to power off other forms, um, powering, an extra, um, what's it called, extra layer of financial intelligence to our users and to partners that might want to use them, right? Also powering trust in the sense of guarantee. Those are product visions that are still long term, but then we see ourselves as powering the trust operating system in the ecosystem, for individuals and even for businesses.
Wow. This first time I'm hearing Trust OS, Trust Operating System, right? I guess that's what innovation is all about. Building the trust so much that it's just a modus operandi.
Yeah,
Um,
because what we are doing now requires a lot of trust, requires like
yeah.
succession planning, and there are other areas of business that we want to, or in the product lines, in line with our vision that we want to go into, that would require more of that, right? In terms of not your assets database, expanding your asset database to cover more asset categories, including liability management, um, as well. So we see ourselves in playing a critical role in providing these services to people.
Mm, nice. Like I think in Aboyeji and then the founder Inya Boyeji, and I was also talking to Mobola. Mobola is the chief marketing officer of Hire Foster. Hire Foster is a marketing agency, right? And also like Larry Akinlagun, who is the founder of drinks.ng in Nigeria, right? All of them are just big on basically improving the image, right, of the Nigerian and in large the black person, right? And by improving the image, right, then brands will be trusted, and there will be more attraction, right, from a global perspective into these companies or this kind of to people like us, right, which in the long run, right, to be beneficial economically speaking, financially speaking, right, and just culturally speaking. And I've heard these people, and I think the way you have just captured it in the end-to-end trust and trust operating system is just, I think they need to hear it, right? Because that is the best. That's the best way to say it. In one way. So I mean, this is like a revelation, if you like, and I'm taking your permission to take it from here. I use it in conversations in the future, end-to-end trust systems and trust operating system. And I hope that for what you're planning for, right, especially something so unpopular in Nigeria, succession planning, um, that your 10-year goal, right, will be bigger than what you guys plan for, and that the systems in place will allow for you guys to be able to integrate even maybe beyond the three areas, banks, financial technology companies, and crypto that you have now, to more categories that um have people's assets, right, or people's money inside. And I think what you guys are doing in the long run will serve, you know will remove money from the federal government. First of all, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, subject to debates, but
No, that's not even to really remove money from the federal government, right? Maybe that would be the implication, but
yeah,
it's just to make sure that these accounts don't even qualify to be, like, they don't have to spend 6 years enough to then being
exactly.
qualified for such account that could be, claimed by the government to like move money, to borrow money from this from them. Um, right? Although, of course, the federal government has said that if you show up the next day to claim your money, they will definitely pay you back, right?
Mm,
But then let's not even qualify. If the person has passed on, let's the what they have go to the people that they intend for it to go to, right? In
mm,
the first place. So that's what we are trying to.
I think from a federal government point of view or perspective, right, there will be little incentive to to be a twinkle. If I know that I can basically fund my accounts from this. So I guess you guys
They
are
already have a lot of money sitting in those accounts that they could pull from.
yeah, exactly. So I'm guessing, it's like an extra source of income, so let's say income or like an extra place where you can get money, right? But I'm even thinking of it. I think like looking at it from this framework itself, we're missing out from the beneficiaries. If somebody is going to, like, I don't know, like a wife or widow or something, right? Just lost her husband, doesn't know this guy has like 30 million hiding somewhere, right? Basically just from knowing Twinkle contacting her, right? And the child is in school, SS3 about to finish, no money to pay school fees. And Twinkle's like, hey, your husband has this account though. There's 30 million inside. Take this information, like we're giving you this knowledge now. And it is yours because he's your husband, or she's your wife, or something like that, right? Like the difference to make in the lives of people is also like something it's also important to voice out, right? Because a lot of people in Nigeria are suffering through hardship. I mean, 100 million people in poverty is not a joke, right? And if this money will go a long way to easing stress and hardship for the beneficiaries.
Yes, definitely. People that have lost their loved ones should have, should have this at least what they have, what they left behind to carry on. So, what's the essence of toiling to get, everybody's trying to build wealth, right? All of us are trying to, and nobody wants to go, plans to leave anytime soon, at least before it's our time. But then, what's the point of trying to build all this wealth and all that if everything just disappears when you are gone, right? So most people are even doing it for their family, not just for themselves. They are trying to build this wealth for their family so that they could live a better life. So without you in the picture, they should still be able to kind of get access to what you've been working on this while for, because they are part of the people like you've been. They are the reason, they are the motivation behind the also in the first place, right? So if you exit the picture, then they should still have what you have left to carry on. And it's actually important. Imagine those sums of money that we've been talking about, billions of naira, has gone back to the necessary hands, to the people that actually needed them to actually move on after they've lost their loved ones, right? It could have made we could bet that if you dig in, it will have made a difference in the lives of some of the families that lost people.
Yeah, and I also think, like, in like the times and the era that Nigeria is entering, right, where even from the federal government perspective, right, they're trying to really bank, so like all the unbanked people, right, across the nation, they're trying to like make them have bank accounts, put them on the financial system, financial records, right, which will mean like more people will put their money. So I mean, there's no better time, in my opinion, to have a Twinkle, right? Or to like have a Twinkle account as well. To just aid in that, because was it, I don't know, was it like 2018 or something? The amount of people that was banked in Nigeria was 60%, or something like that, right? So the 40% that will be added, right? I mean, 40% multiplied by the 80 billion, right? Add that, at the end of the day, right, you have like close to about 130 billion, or so 800 billion, right? You have close to the trillion self, just from the people that will be integrated if the numbers remain the same. So I guess this is the, if there's a opportune time for Twinkle. Right, I guess this is the opportune time, because more people are going online, more people are going to the banks, and that will mean more beneficiaries, right? The relationship of beneficiaries are also connected in the financial system. So I mean, in this sense, like, I want to thank you for the work you're doing. On behalf of your future customers, your present customers, the future people that will benefit from the trust to trust system, and the trust operating system. Right. I think you have to allow this, like, trust OS. I don't know, maybe write a paper about it. Maybe write a book about it, right? Because
Not yet. Of course, that would be yeah. So we are building. That's what we are building towards, right? But we don't have that. Is in the roadmap. We don't have it yet. So until we have it before we say, okay, yeah,
but I
this is
think
what we do.
sometimes it's just like I'm just thinking like from from an Obama perspective, right? He wrote dreams from my father because before he became like president, and so sometimes like writing all of these things, right, sets forth like how do you say that mouth? Is it to wet your mouth or something? That expression, like it will wet people's mouths to what is coming about, right? And they'll understand better, right? And conversations will be happening, and then you're kind of like the first person with the whole thing, and you kind of become like a leader in that conversation, blah blah blah. Anyways, but yeah, I understand
I
that.
understand your point as well.
Yeah. All right. Oluwafemi, like Twinku is deeper than I expected. So thank you for explaining so much to us, for disclosing as well like the nitty-gritty of the services you offer, the reasons behind it, and the future of it, right, in one way or the other. We wish you the best from our ends, and we, in that 10 years time, we hope to have another conversation with you about we're not like, hey, Oluwafemi, now you have Trust OS. How can we build, I don't know, Trust OS version 3 or version 2 or something?
Definitely. Thank you. I look forward to it as well. And thank you very much for the opportunity and the platform. And well done to your entire team as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Oluwafemi. For everybody listening, you've heard about Twinkle. So if succession planning is something that is on your mind, right? First of all, go and read on it. Then come and make your decision by how to be a customer with Twinkle. And also reach out to the company itself, right? They have an email on their website. But for Oluwafemi, if people want to reach out to you directly, how can they do that, or what's the best medium to do that?
Okay. The best medium to do that to reach me personally is Twitter at Milua. Also my LinkedIn, of course. That's where we met. My LinkedIn is a very good channel. I'm very active on LinkedIn and very active on Twitter. And you can also shoot me a mail at femi@twinku.co. Yes, I reply to emails as well. So those are the three channels. Um, I'm very active that you can reach me on. And of course, you get a swift response.
Excellent.
I also like to note that the app is on Google Play Store. You can always check it out and download it. And there's a free trial. There's a 1 month free trial for you to use the app and decide if it's something that meets your expectation or not. And there's a delete account features, like I said, as part of our data privacy commitment, that you can delete your account, whichever is all the data, all your data all your data that is stored with us completely. If you think that it's not what you want to use.
What's the pricing like after the free trial?
Also, the pricing is a monthly subscription that you have to pay. Is actually a stipend. 1,000 naira, 1,500 naira subscription fee, a
Okay.
monthly subscription fee. Yeah.
All right. All right. Excellent. So everybody, like, you have no excuse. Like at this point, he has given you information to reach out to him. He has given you like where to get the app. I just want to ask, like, when are we going to get the um, App Store app, right, for iPhone users?
Yeah, so that will be soon. Latest in August or sometimes in August.
This August.
Yes, that will be next month,
All
August.
right. Excellent. Excellent. Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Oluwafemi. Thank you everybody for listening. And yeah, if you really enjoyed this conversation, shoot Oluwafemi a message and just thank him for all the information. And basically, I never even know about the dormant account stuff, to be honest. This is the first time listening to it. I know about the Finance Act, but I don't know this was one of the things in the Finance Act. So personally speaking, thank you as well. And yeah, see you in that future time whereby we discuss Trust OS version 2.
All right, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to it.
All right.